Oh, good morning, everybody. I'm going to mute you here. If you need unmuted at all, please just unmute yourselves or raise your hand and you can do that. I will unmute Mrs. Spooner and Mrs. Komorska here. But good morning and welcome to our third live expeditions. We're super excited. Last week we did Crayola calligraphy. Hold on, Susie. You're raising your hand. What's up, Susie?
Can I invite someone not from Marymount?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you have the link?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, send it to them. So we are super excited for you all to be here. This week we have a double feature. We have Miss Spooner and Mrs. Komorska. They're gonna tag team this together and really teach us how to make our own watercolors and then some techniques on what to do with that. So I know I'm super excited. Next week, how many of you know Mr. Jake from School Aid? He's done a few of our programs at the junior high. He's done our wheelchair basketball. He's done cooking. He's really awesome. And he's gonna come next week and they are going to be doing a Warriors Beyond Olympics. So we're gonna have some challenges throughout our time together to go scavenger hunt wise, to do some fitness challenges. It's going to be super exciting, so make sure to invite your friends. We might even have some prizes next week. We'll see what we can come up with, but enough for me. You're not here to listen to me give you my sales pitch, so I am going to pass it over to Mrs. Spooner and Mrs. Komorska, and I'm going to let them try and teach me. They're definitely going to teach you. They're going to try and teach me how to become a world-class watercolor artist here. So go ahead. Thank you for coming, everyone. And I will continue to let people in as they come.
All right.
Great. All right. So hopefully everyone has their supplies, right? I'll just go over it one more time. You need like a piece of aluminum foil. All right. And then you need some markers. They need to be like water-based markers, not permanent markers. So not a Sharpie. Just like Crayola, or these are those smelly markers. Any water-based marker will work.
I wish I had the smelly markers.
And then you need a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you could use a Q-tip if you want. And then you need a container of water and some paper. Okay? But we're gonna start today with the foil. So get your foil in front of you and your markers.
And Mrs. Komorska, we want to make sure that we're using darker markers, because if you use the yellow, it doesn't show up super well. So you want to use ones that are like that. This is a nice dark greenish, blue-green color. I've got a purpley color. Darker colors are going to work a lot better.
Thank you for saying, you're absolutely right. The light colors just don't show up super well. All right. So what you're going to want to do, and I'm a little bit ahead of you, so I'll show you, is you're going to just color in big rectangles with the markers. So you want to sort of lay the marker on there really thick. And you want to just pick like a nice, imagine what a watercolor paint set looks like, right? And you want to just color. And the foil is a really nice smooth surface. So the marker should go on there really well. So you just want to use the colors that you're going to want to paint with. And jump in anytime, Mrs. Spooner. Miss Spooner.
Show my...
Now, once you do it, if you want to show us what your palette,
yes.
That's a good art term I just used there. Show us what palette looks like.
So impressive.
You know, I've actually done my research all week, so I was prepared for this. So
sure.
Brush strokes, techniques, you know, all of those great terminology that you all use probably daily in your classrooms.
I'm just discovering this, but if you put your thumb or put your fingerprint on the foil and then try to color over it, you can see your fingerprint, which is kind of cool. It's not really that beneficial for this, but it just looks cool.
Yeah, that happened to me down here, I think.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, it is sort of cool.
All right. So we're gonna let these dry, right, Mrs. Komorska?
Yes. We need the marker to dry a little bit, so we're kind of doing this in a specific order.
Excellent. Good morning, Lily. Thanks for joining us. Right now, what we're doing, Lily, we'll try and catch you up. So we're taking our aluminum foil with our markers, and we're just kind of drawing some squares, rectangles, different shapes with those. I'm sorry, that light's terrible. So that is what I believe is going to become our watercolors.
You're right. All right, so while we let those dry, do you guys just want to put your aluminum foil off to the side? And now you're gonna grab your sheet of white paper. So mine's already folded, but I can show you how to fold it anyway.
I can do
We're
it.
gonna, what? We're gonna do 8 different techniques for you. So I always like to fold my paper first like a hamburger. I don't know why. You could do either a hamburger or a hot dog. So you're gonna fold it in half like a hamburger, then fold it in half one more time. And then if we want 8, we have to fold it one more time again. All right. And then if you open it back up, you should have 8 pretty even boxes.
What's up, Susie?
I'm still in the coloring phase.
Okay. If you've done your paper, show it to us. Show us all 8 of your spots. If you haven't, we'll help you get there.
Marie, looking beautiful.
Good job, Sophia.
Emery's got it too. Good job, Avery. Avery, is Archer doing it too?
No.
He's got a little brother. I saw him earlier.
Oh.
I love that we have a kitty cat watching us too at the bottom. Bailey showing us kitty cat. I hope it's just a picture because the cat hasn't moved in quite some time. So. And we have another friend that we might have to. This may be your friend, Mrs. Komorska.
You think? Oh, good job, Cody.
What was your friend's name again, Mrs. Komorska?
His name is Senya.
Okay.
But Russian alphabet and American alphabet are very different, so
It could be, yeah.
we'll see.
There you go. So make sure your paper is folded. If you need us to help catch you up, just raise your hand and we will catch you up. But it looks like everyone's doing a pretty nice job with this.
Okay, so Ms. Spooner said earlier, we're going to show you the reason that we folded the paper like this is because we wanted 8 boxes, because we're going to show you 8 different sort of techniques that you can experiment with, and then after that we'll let you go and you can paint whatever you want. Okay, so each one of these boxes you're just going to be sort of experimenting with a different way to use watercolor. All right. So, what do we want to do first, Ms. Smith?
All right, and we just had 2 more people join, so let's try and get them caught up real quick, and then we'll let you do that. So what we've done is we have colored on our aluminum foil a bunch of different colors here. Just like that. We've been letting it dry just for a few minutes, but I'm sure you could, use some hot air and help the process by blowing it. And then we took a piece of paper and we folded it into 8. And that's where we're at. So we haven't done too much, so you can all catch up pretty quickly here. And again, if you need help as you're going, and we're going to have a special guest here joining us as soon as I press admit. We'll let Ms. Spooner and Mrs. Komorska see our special guest here in a second.
Uh-oh.
She's joining in. There she is.
Oh,
Mrs. Marker.
So again, we are super excited. So we folded the paper. We've got it. Take it away. Teach us some techniques.
Okay, so what do we want to start out with? Maybe
should we just see what happens when we just throw the color down first?
Yeah, sure.
I'm nervous.
You're nervous.
Yeah, and excited.
That's not purple.
We have a question. Hold on, we have a
Yep,
question.
yep. Cody's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Cody.
Go, Cody.
Wait, is there a certain side that you're supposed to draw on? Because when we were doing on one side, it like of the foil, like it doesn't work. It just like because it's all
On the
like,
shinier side, not on the. It, like Caleb was doing it on the shiny side, and they were doing it on the dull side, and his worked so much better on the shiny side.
Oh.
For whatever that's worth. On the foil,
Ah,
like you know how it's two-sided? I don't know why that is, but it's a significant difference with the markers.
Interesting.
I did mine on the dull side, so I'm gonna do a separate one here on the shiny side, and I'm gonna test your theory out here.
Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, maybe our foils.
Maybe the foil is, I don't know.
I don't, Miss Spooner or Miss Merska, have you ever experienced that?
I have not. I did mine on the
Yeah.
side.
All right.
Did
Well,
you? I think I did mine on the shiny side, but when I did mine the other day, I don't remember what I did it on. So
we'll see. This could be a
Yeah,
neat
kind of a fun
experiment.
experience.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Cody. That's pretty cool.
all right. So you guys want to test out the first one, see how our watercolors even work? So in order to make this come alive, we need to dip our paintbrush in a little bit of water, and then you'll take your watered paintbrush over to whatever color you want to use, and you can mix your water on your block of color, and then you have watercolor, believe it or not. So now we can paint it in our very first box and just see what it looks like. And that purple's pretty vibrant for me. I don't know if you guys can see it super well, but it's kind of fun.
Were you supposed to, I was answering Susie, asking a question. Were you supposed to put water on that? Dip your
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Sugarman. Yeah.
watercolors. Got it. Okay. I get it now.
Ooh, Mrs. Komerska's trying lots of colors. I like that. Ooh, this blue-green color that I have is super, super vibrant.
Ooh. Vibrant was not one of the words I learned this week, but that's a good one to add into my art arsenal of words.
So I want to see how it's working for you guys. Oh, Susie.
Susie, I think you can unmute yourself.
How many folds do you do for the piece of paper?
You do one more. It looks like you folded twice, 3 times. One more time.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So how is it working? Can you guys give thumbs up? Are you getting some good colors?
Does it look good? Ooh, Sophia, it looks
Yeah.
like marks.
Nice. Good job.
Ooh,
Definitely. That looks cool. It looks like a magic carpet.
What do we use the salt for?
You'll see.
It's a surprise.
Cody, have you guys noticed a difference between Caleb's and yours with the shiny and dull? Are the colors more vibrant? I think you gotta unmute it. Yep, thanks.
We rejected the dull ones. So.
Rejected them. We're not even going with them. I like it. They weren't good enough.
Yeah, Sophia?
I have an idea of what the salt's gonna do. Are we gonna pour it? I'm not gonna say what it might do, but are we gonna put the salt onto the paper with the watercolor?
Hi, Audrey. I believe, or that might not be Audrey. Someone joined us and then might have left. Nope. If you have questions, please let us know. We will catch you up. I know we have friends joining, but I think everyone's kind of where we're at. But there's my attempt so far.
Very nice. Yes, Sophia.
Sorry. I just wanted to say I did do some yellow and it does show up.
Oh, your yellow looks nice.
Yeah.
But some of them do.
You must have a good yellow marker. My yellow marker's not so hot.
Same. Mine just turned to like almost, it just looked like I got water on the paper.
All right, so let's do crayon. I'm gonna do
Crayon's the best one.
yeah, crayon's sort of exciting. So if you have a crayon, you guys know crayons are made out of wax, right? And obviously our paint is made out of marker and water. And water and wax don't mix so well. So you can do what's called resist, right? So if you draw something with crayon and then you paint watercolor over the top, the watercolor paint won't stick. So I'm gonna do, I'm using white crayon. And so I'm gonna surprise you with what comes up in my resist, right? Because I put it in this box and I'm guessing no one can see it, right?
No.
Right, so here we go.
Secret.
I'm so curious on what you wrote.
I like the purple, so I'm gonna stick with purple.
Ah!
Do you see?
Oh, how cool.
Right, but the fun part is you can write like a secret message to someone, right? You can write a whole letter to them or a secret code or a picture, and then they have to decode it by painting watercolor over the top. It also works really well if you take, since most of your watercolors are dark, if you use a light crayon. So you don't want to use like green paint and a green crayon because then you wouldn't get any contrast. But if you take a yellow crayon and do like a zigzag, you can paint over the top. Oh, Mr. Sugarman, nice.
Oh. Oh, I like the car.
That's a really impressive car.
It is.
Very impressed. That's awesome. Archer.
Oh, nice, Archer.
Who else did something neat there?
What'd you do, Cody?
Ooh.
Awesome.
Nice.
Hard to show up to the screen sometimes.
And I'm trying to go over this and if it doesn't work. Yep.
That was a fun one. I liked that.
Uh-oh.
Everyone seems to be painting away. It's fun just to watch everyone looking down painting.
This would be really neat if your mothers are in the background. Don't let them hear this, but Mother's Day is coming up soon. How about making them a card with water paint? You could use some of these techniques to make them a really, really cool Mother's Day card. That would be really neat.
That's so fun. Oh, what are you holding up over there?
Eli.
Oh, the
Archer.
cars.
Wow, you're really good
Nice.
at drawing cars. Is
Sophia.
that a Ferrari?
Look at Sophia's meep.
Meep, meep.
I like it.
These are so fun.
They are. Who knew you could have this much fun through Zoom learning art?
Are you guys ready for number 3?
No, not yet.
Yes.
Not yet.
No, I need to
You're
draw
ready.
one.
I think the best part is if you're running out of watercolors, you can just draw another box on your aluminum foil.
Mm-hmm.
There, and I'm just gonna draw a simple one. No idea why I'm trying this
Who
purple.
wants to try new techniques? Show us your hands. Who wants to try a new one?
I guess so.
All right, we've got a few of you.
Yeah, I need more paper.
All right, this is also one of my favorites. Does anyone have tape laying around?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you have a little bit of tape, and I like blue tape because it peels up really easily, but you can try it with any tape Your white tape, you just don't want to press too hard when you put it on the paper, okay? So I'm gonna take tape and I'm just gonna put it down on my paper in a pattern of making different lines. So I'm ripping my tape up and I'm just putting different.
And if you don't have tape, you can just kind of look at this technique and maybe do it a little later.
For sure.
Whoops.
So I don't know what you could spell a word with this too if you wanted.
Tape and mash up.
No.
All right. So now that you have your tape laid down, what's cool is this tape is blocking out, it's going to block out the paint from being able to touch the paper underneath the tape. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint over it with our watercolors, and then we'll probably move on to another box. And then at the end, we'll peel our tape up and we'll have these really cool, crisp white lines underneath the tape. So go ahead and just pick a color or pick a few colors and give that box some paint.
This one's kind of fun because you never know how it's going to turn out until we take up the tape.
Yeah.
Kind of like
And what's cool is you can paint, and if you want later, you could put tape down and then paint on top of it again, and then it could be lots of different layers.
It's kind of abstract.
You looked up the dictionary of art terms, didn't you?
I was just working through it, you know.
All right.
Ooh, cool.
Yes.
Everyone show us what we've done so far. That's my tape one.
Oh.
Nice.
We'll see if I can get the clear, transparent tape off the paper eventually. So
It can stay too.
true.
Depending on what type of tape it is.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Hey, Sophia, what's up?
I was wondering if this type of tape would work because it's like really strong.
It might
Duct tape?
tear.
Yeah, I think it might rip the paper.
All right.
But you can try.
That's true. And Sophia, another thing you could do is if you have another sheet of white paper, you can try ripping that and just putting it down on the paper and painting over it. And then it might not have as crisp of edges, but it still will block out what is being touched by the paint.
Oh, that's really cool. That big E you made.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that E is.
Lily, how's yours going, hun?
I see Bailey's just painting away. Bailey, show me your painting.
I kind of just drew boxes because I'm using the like a watercolor pad, but
Oh,
I just started to test the salt a little bit. That one, it kind of just squiggles everywhere. But
yeah.
Bailey, did you paint that human sign on your wall there?
no.
Oh, that's really cool. Gave me an idea with the tape and making letters like one of our Ching brothers did over there. I thought that was really neat. It gave me an idea of taping out a word and then using paint to do that. So
Yeah, Susie.
Are we supposed to do anything after the tape? Because that's as far as I got, and then suddenly people are doing like salt.
We hadn't demonstrated that yet. You're all caught up, right where you need to be.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so are we ready for a next one? What should we do, Miss Spooner? Maybe paper towel?
Ooh, I love a good paper towel one.
Should we do salt? We'll save salt. It's kind of exciting, so maybe we'll save it towards the end.
Yeah.
right? So if you have just like a paper towel, right? You want to sort of wad that up. You don't want it neat. You want it really crunchy so that it has like a crumpled surface. Yeah. Oops. You want it to have different textures, right? And what you do is you, and you want to use, I would say a darker color and a good amount of water for this one. What you're going to do is you're going to, you have to work quickly, I think. So you want to get as much of the paint on as possible, and then you take your paper towel and you blot it. Well, mine didn't work so great, but sometimes it leaves the impression like of the fibers in the paper towel in your paint. So give that a try. I think it depends on how absorbent your paper towel is and what kind of paper you're painting on.
I know my paper's absorbing it so fast.
I think that's part of it. And I also think my paper towel is not like the paper towels in our school dispenser, right? Because
They are.
it is absorbent. So
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
they leave really good texture on there.
yeah.
But it's fun to practice with. You could also take a crumpled piece of paper and do that. That might work a little bit better if it's too absorbent.
Another thing I just did that you can also do is you can dab your paper towel on your foil and it'll pick up. I almost get more texture that way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool idea. That came out really neat when I dabbed it.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
see it.
I have way more texture by dabbing it like that.
Yeah. I got all the ridges and everything from the paper towel to make that
Yes.
look real.
There's so many fun ways to do this.
Sweet.
Yep. Yeah, that's the same. Yep.
How are we doing, guys? How are your paper towels coming out?
Very neat.
I know the paper towel almost turns into a piece of artwork with all the little blocks.
Absolutely.
I like it.
I took my tape off. Look how neat that ended up coming out.
Wow.
Cool.
Pretty impressed. I think maybe I'm a junior artist at this point.
You want a badge?
I would love a badge. I'll wait till the fall though, don't worry.
Good. All right, guys, are you ready for another one?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, let's see. Does anyone have straws laying around? This one's one of my favorites because you get to be a little extra messy. So I have my straw, and what you're gonna do is you need lots of water in your watercolor for this one. So make sure you get your brush extra watery, and I'm even just gonna put a little bit on here. I kind of almost scooped the water. Now I'm gonna put a dot of watery, really watery watercolor on my paper, and then I can take my straw and it blows the watercolor all around, and it makes these cool, like, organic little lines come off of it.
Very cool.
Oops. You have to do it kind of quickly though, because you don't want your paint to dry, just like with the paper towel.
Now, if you don't have a straw, could you just, use
Blow
your brush?
on it.
I'm going to try that because I don't have a
straw. Yeah, I think you can try. It just might not be so like the marks might be bigger, which is totally fine. But you're gonna just kind of push it around, which is fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a lot of marker and water here. So let me try
Yeah.
this.
It always makes such a really neat shape. It always reminds me of like a jellyfish, or when you do this. I know Susie and Sophia, we did this in art club a little bit earlier in the year with ink, with colored ink.
Oh, fine.
Got some really neat shapes, and it's so organic, very organic shapes.
Yeah, I think a straw would do a little better.
Let's see, Sophia, how'd it
Let's
go?
see. Demarie's using the straw. How's it turn out, Demarie? Getting a jelly?
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
Sophia.
I don't have a straw, so.
I know, but you're still getting the little marks going off in all directions.
Bree, is it working for you? Avery, can I see your paper?
Oh.
Bailey has me really excited about this salt one. I just do have a question about the salt when we get there. Is using my kosher salt okay, or do I need to go get the more fine salt?
No, that'll work great.
All right, perfect. I got nervous.
All right. Let's see. What should we do next? Wet on wet, maybe try and blend some colors. So if you have two colors that are close together on the color wheel, like blue and purple, red and purple, you don't want to do opposites. You don't really want to do like red and green, because then you kind of get brown. But if you have colors that are similar, you can put them on so that they're both, like you can put one on wet and then another one while it's still wet, and you can get a really cool blend. So looking at mine, I've got some nice blue and green here. So if I get my brush really soaked with this blue and add water to it, so it's really, really watery. And then while that's still sort of not dry, I'm going to pick up some green and add some green to it. And you can make a cool gradation, but the colors sort of blend, and it gets, you know, how they blend is all controlled by the water. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Ooh.
So it's kind of cool to mix two different colors and just keep painting on it while it's wet. Maybe down here, I'll add a third color. I'll add some purple, and you get some really neat sort of blends that happen. That's wet on wet. Give it a try.
It's fun. Oh, that looks
Oh, nice.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's see.
Avery, what? Ooh.
Very neat.
It almost looks like the Northern Lights or something.
Oh,
Nice, Demarie.
that's what mine came out as. Kind of like a firework. Wishful thinking that we can see fireworks this summer.
They might still be able to do them. We just might be
Yeah.
walking from our house.
There you go.
All right, you guys ready for the next one?
All right. Before we go to the next one, do you guys want to peel the paint or the tape off of your tape one? It looks super cool, like Mr. Sugarman's did. It's very satisfying. I'd say this is probably like the best part of it all.
I'm taking Mrs. Komerska's idea. I'm gonna put more tape on now and do a second coating and see what that looks like.
Lots of layers. So my paper one, I think that looks cool. Just those crisp lines are nice.
Yeah.
All right. So for our next one, when we go out, so we've been spending lots of time outside, I'm sure, going on walks and hikes. And as you're walking, you guys can grab different leaves from that you see on the ground. You could grab even some grass, anything like that. We could use as a way of blocking out color too, kind of just like that tape. So you can press I have a leaf that I took from one of my plants. And so I could press my leaf down and I'm gonna hold it with my fingers. And then I can paint on top and around the leaf and I'll get a cool imprint of where that leaf is. This leaf is very small. But it's cool because you can do it with like flowers, you can do it with the grass, you can do it with a leaf. And so do you see my leaf outline that I'm getting?
Oh.
Oh, that's cool.
And another thing you could do is you can try even painting the leaf itself and printing it onto the paper.
Neat. Kind of like the paper towel we tried.
Yep. So I just painted my leaf and now I'm gonna pop it up. And that gives kind of a cool looking texture to it too.
I'm gonna let Miss Spinner do salt next, but I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna let you do the salt because salt. But I do have an example of what it looks like when it's dry that I can show. But
oh, perfect.
Some of your other areas now might be dry, and it's really cool to go back over something that's dry with maybe a really fine line. So if you have something really dark. Like I'm gonna go back over my smiley face because that is all dry now. And I'm gonna maybe outline his eyes.
Ooh.
So just, because watercolor, you have to be really careful because it does blend and bleed. And sometimes you want it to, but sometimes you don't. Maybe I'll give him a pair of glasses. Right? So you can wait until it's dry and go back and add things. Right?
That's so fun.
That's really neat.
Oh, and also, wait, I have one more thing after we finish our 8 techniques I wanted to tell them.
Okay.
But go ahead with the salt. Because it's super exciting.
I forgot it. All right. So this is the one we've been waiting for the whole time. Are you guys ready? It's fun. It's messy. So you have to move quickly on this one too because we don't want the paper to get dry before we put our salt down. So what you're going to do is make sure my palette's kind of gotten a little bit crazy. But I have a really nice, it looks like a blue mixed with a purple. And I'm just gonna roll with it. So I'm gonna take that color and I'm going to put it on my paper and I'm just gonna do a small little spot first. And then you take a pinch of salt and you put the salt on top and you have to let it sit there for a little while. And what happens is the salt takes the water that's in the watercolors and it soaks it up. And then you're left with these super cool little marks on your paper of where the salt rested.
This is, let's see, this blue one right here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So this is one that I did yesterday. So when it's totally dry, the salt just sort of falls off. And like Miss Spooner said, you're left with these really, it almost looks like little crystal shapes. Really neat. And I think like Mr. Sugarman's kosher salt is actually
Better.
salt. It might be better than just table salt. But you definitely have to let it dry. If you try and brush it off while it's wet, it won't work. And again, probably better with a darker color.
Yeah, I did my practice one with a yellow, and you really can't hardly see it. It doesn't even look like I have color there.
Well, I'm super excited. I tried 3 different colors. I'm going all in on this one.
It's fun too if you have like just regular table salt and kosher salt. You can see what the different salts do to the paper because they leave different.
Okay, I'll go
little
get the
marks.
other salt.
I know, it's time.
All right. Got the other salt now.
So one more thing I wanted to tell you guys, Mrs. Hobart and I have done this year, and it's really kind of fun and successful, is if you have a marker that's dried out, that doesn't really work so well as a marker, what you can do, check this out, is you put it in a jar with just a little bit of water, and the water pulls the color out of the marker, and then you are left with liquid watercolor.
So cool.
And you don't want, this is almost too much water. I mean, I had 3 of these reds, so I got a decent color. You know, these were lighter blue, and I'll show you what they look like on my paper. But, you know, so you don't just waste or throw away your markers, just stick them in a jar with water, and you get your own liquid watercolor, which is really fun to paint with. And you want to kind of let that sit. You want to let the markers sit in there for several days. So I put these in the jar. You can see my blue is just not as vibrant as the red because this is like a light blue marker. But you want to let that sit for several days or even a week, and your colors will get more and more vibrant. So before you throw those, like maybe even today when you were testing out markers to put on your foil, you were like, oh, that marker's not so great. Well, now you have something you can do with that leftover markers. Just stick it in a jar with some water and let it turn into paint.
Really neat.
So cool.
So before we say goodbye to all of you, as you're practicing and exploring and trying some of these different techniques and using different, you know, sticks and leaves and all of that to do some different of the techniques that Miss Spooner and Mrs. Komorska taught you, if you send those pictures to me, and you can find my email, most of you have got it through the Zoom links and stuff, you send me some of your completed projects or even this page that you just did now, and I'd show you mine, but it has salt all over it. But if you'd show this to me and send it to me, I'd love to post some of them and just show the awesome work and how much fun you all had. So we don't have to include names or anything, but I'd love to see your paintings and some of the really cool stuff. So send me some emails, especially on Instagram. We have a Marymount Junior High School art name. So I know they'll post some pictures, I'll post some, we'll tag each other. But it would be really cool to show a lot of our friends what fun you had. So I'll let Ms. Spooner and Mrs. Komorska say goodbye to you here in a second. But remember, next week, we are going to have our friend Mr. Jake and Mr. Ian from School Aid. They're going to be doing a School Aid Olympics, so get ready. They're going to do scavenger hunts and different competitions. It will be a lot of fun, so make sure to get your friends involved. And then I believe in 2 weeks, don't hold me to this, but I think we're going to have our friends from the Critters that come for our Wild About Animals. I think they're going to do a live critter show for us and show us all the animals that they rescue. So we have some really, really neat things coming up for live expeditions. So please keep coming back, get some friends to join us. And I'll let Mrs. Komorska and Mrs. Spooner say goodbye.
I am so happy to see all of your faces.
I know this was so fun.
It was really fun. I know Avery's been doing, and Demery have been doing a lot of our elementary projects, and it makes me so happy when you share them with me and just seeing your faces. Sophia and Bailey and Lily and Susie, my art club friends, and all the Ching brothers. It's just awesome to see you.
And make art with you. Get back to that because we miss that.
And we miss all of you. We miss seeing you in the school. We miss waving to you and high-fiving and, sharing our loves and our passion with you. So thanks for coming in every Friday. Make sure to have your friends come join us. And again, we would love to see some of your awesome photos. So send them over to Mr. Sugarman's email. If you need my email, ask your parents. It's on the website, or you can send them to Mrs. Spooner or Mrs. Komorska, either way. But thank you all for coming to join us. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Spooner, Mrs. Komorska. This was amazing.
Bye.